Hello, welcome back to Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching. This is Erin. So this is part two, dos, ni, of a three-part podcast that I'm doing that is an adaptation of a um, 12-step program for grief that a dear friend is walking me through. And I found some inspiration here because the steps themselves have been really working magic, but it's also going through the steps. There's further epiphanies that have been coming up for me, like different sets of questions that I'll be sharing with you that I've shared a lot of in prior podcasts, but I'm actually going to share some different ones today that have sort of taken me to the next step. If the first set of questions got me from sort of very low point to 70% better, then this next set of questions got me to like 85, 90% better, which is awesome. So the second step is I came to believe that there was a power greater than myself that could help to restore me to sanity or back to sort of like mentally healthy space. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I'm a deeply spiritual person. So, knowing that there is a force that's greater in the world than myself is pretty easy for me. Like I've drank the Kool-Aid, I'm there. Um, I think when you're in intense levels of pain, it's hard to remember that sometimes. And so having, spiritual scripture that you can come back to, having friends to give you sagely advice, having a therapist and things like this can help you to sort of crack your ego over and over again and work through that pain and resistance and sort of like playing old tapes and stories and bring you into a space of like faith and with that you can start to surrender a little bit and come back into a more grounded space within yourself. Now this process, sometimes you have to look at like the little things in life and you have to recognize like, okay, like what do I have faith in, you know and for me, like I have trust that the sun is going to rise tomorrow. Like, I don't know, that's something that I believe. It seems to happen. I have gathered evidence for that. I believe that. Um, I believe that I will continue practicing yoga for the rest of my life. It's something that's kind of ingrained in my nervous system, and I explore different forms of it. And, sometimes I get more to like the martial artsy side, but it's like it's all connection and presence, right? The real meaning of yoga is not just doing asana so your butt looks good in yoga pants or, doing a handstand. But it's advanced spiritual tools for self actualization. And so I'm just kind of dedicated to the path. So, whether I want it or not, it's like I didn't choose the yogi life. The yogi life chose me, kind of like how a mala will choose you or a crystal. It's like, yes, you're my person. Or if you like adopt a cat or a dog, they choose you. Like my cat Jinx, he just, and he came around and I was like, yep, all right, you're the one. You chose me, so I choose you. So, um, being able to look at what you do have faith in. So I'm a devout yogi. Sun's gonna rise. Um, I trust that I am gonna work through this and that it's gonna be okay. Even though right now, to be honest, during the day I'm using my tools, and then when I kind of like, you know, uh, snap out of consciousness and go into like old loops and tapes, it can be very painful, and I have big wells of grief that come up and I feel that, but I have faith that it's going to be okay because I know that these feelings are impermanent. Anicca, everything is always changing. The only thing that's permanent is this sort of Atman, this deep sort of Godhead that is a figurehead, but it's more of like an energy that works through all of us, everything. I recently, actually, I did a podcast on the god of Spinoza, which is essentially like this energy that pervades everything. It's, in the mountains and the streams and the sky, like in the laugh of a baby, like, in any sort of miracle, like God is everywhere. And you can sort of co-create with this force that exists within you and around you. And I like to believe that this force is like the true nature of it is like pure love. I've been reciting a mantra to myself, which was, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, which that still feels good. But what became true is, I am love. I am love. I am love. And so it's just interesting how that like naturally upgraded, like how Pokemon just all of a sudden they're like doo 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 doo, and like they add more limbs or vines or flames, and all of a sudden they're a more evolved version of themselves, and we see this in our own personal lives. Um, so I trust in this sort of evolution that I'm going through, and I've always followed my heart. It's never steered me wrong. So if you're, listening to this and you're going through a heartache or some sort of big transition, or maybe you've lost someone, having like knowing that there is that force that's greater than you and bigger than you in the world, I think will help to tether you back down, ground you in, and like so you can accept like, hey, maybe it is going to be okay. And you can use modifiers, right? Maybe just for right now, I can choose to pretend it's going to be okay. But even to the level of that, it doesn't really matter. What matters is like, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel better? Then thumbs up, you're doing the right thing. Does it make you feel worse? Mm, just be careful with that. I'm not sure what questions you would be asking. Is like, what did I do wrong, or what's wrong with me? Those questions are going to give you answers that are not going to make you feel good. But like asking questions of like, how is this going to work out? How is this for my best interest? How is this going to help with my evolution? And questions like that really help to draw you back into that more positive energy, which if you are going through something intense like I am, it's so important. You need to come out of the rain. Like reflecting, looking at your mistakes, recognizing your role, like that, super important. But if you have these very intense feelings coming up, at least for me, that was not helpful. I was beating myself up, and I was like ruminating. I was like stuck in a loop in the samskaras, and it was just like dig and dig and digging. And again, as I talked about in the prior podcast, like there's a sort of powerlessness that you might have over this heartbreak and grief. And if you can sort of recognize that and kind of take a step away, redirect the mind, gain control over the breath, calm and regulate the nervous system, then you recognize the things that you do have control over, and then you can work with those things. And that is how you move forward. So recognizing that there is this sort of greater power that can help you to heal whatever you're going through. And it doesn't have to be God or universe. It can just be like energy. It could be like the force of nature and the cosmos. I mean, you know, as a human being, you have to recognize and not be so arrogant to think that like, you know everything, that like you have no blind spots, that, oh, I've done enough inner work. We're done here. I mean, certainly there needs to be some levity. I was talking with a friend recently about the importance of levity, because there are spiritual people that are so serious and they don't joke. And I was like, say a curse word, like, I don't know, crack a joke. Like, I just feel like that connects us to our humanness. And it's just like, kind of like gives a little pop of energy and release, so that, yeah, then spiritual work can be serious, but there needs to be play. There needs to be levity. There needs to be balance, because otherwise it's overwhelming and it's like, I don't know, too like stuffy. And I'm not that kind of spiritual person. I'm very like light and playful, and like, my I feel my emotions very raw and big and deep, but I I play. I play music. I skate at the skate park. I dance around like a goof. So you have to make contact with that inner child, and um like having that faith, and that sort of like bigger energy, I think just kind of like takes the pressure off. Like you don't have to solve it, you can like surrender it. And I'm going to talk about that in the next step in my next podcast, as far as like what does that look like, because I was holding on to things more than I thought, And again, it's the nature of the mind to want to solve the puzzle. I'm in pain. How do I solve this? What do I do? Da, 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 da. And then you'll get in the loop and start ruminating. And that is something that I do. So going through something big and intense is going to require for you to step up in your life and for you to become very aware of how you are like manifesting this, how are you creating this pattern. I was talking with a therapist that I'm going to be doing the 6 month relationship recovery program. It's something I committed to before my relationship ended, and it's something I'm still going to commit to because it connects in childhood trauma, like attachment styles and all this. I am a fearful avoidant attachment style that is deeply imprinted, and you can go online and look up your attachment style. I do recommend it. There's 4 different kinds. There's like anxious, anxious avoidant, there is fearful avoidant, and then there's secure. Sometimes they have slightly different names, but essentially that's the gist. And knowing that about yourself and your patterns, and like for me, I want to be like, peace out, like I'm gone, like here I go. But obviously, I've committed to a lot of things in my life, having yoga studio for 10 years, podcast for 10 years, black belt, um, like 500 level EROT, whatever the credentialing is, massage therapy. Like I have done a lot of things and committed to, so that it is possible to work through these patterns of wanting to flee by learning communication tools and learning what your needs are and trying to meet those needs. But knowing what your original OG imprinting is can be super helpful. So I highly recommend, if you're on the path to spiritual healing and emotional intelligence and communication, that you put some work in there. Worth your while. You are worth your own time and affections, as am I. So to recap, faith, like whatever it is, God, universe, Allah, Jesus, whatever, whatever it is, something bigger and greater than you, because it's important to have that humility to bow the ego down and listen to the whispering of the heart. Know that there's a greater force at work is going to help to not just take some of the pressure off, but crack the old ego a little bit, knock it off its high horse. Don't worry, it'll get back on. It always does. But and then then you change your relationship with it. Hopefully, that's the that's the hope. So thank you so much for listening. And again, if you want to reach out, Erin at erincoach.com, even just to be like, hey, nice to see you, love you. I'm going to leave a review. That would be lovely. You can always leave a review on iTunes and Spotify. And you can also just send me an email and give me some love. At this point, I have 5 more spots left in my Japan retreat. We're going in November, a complete immersive experience. I have 2 spots left for India in June. So if you want to come to Mahabharat with me and just be immersed in the culture, then reach out to me. That ship is sailing soon. I'm sure, going halfway across the globe, you're going to need to do some preparation. So if you're local, I have a couple more spots left in my yoga teacher training. And if you're interested in becoming a certified coach with me, I have a certification program. I do one every year. I have not set the dates yet for this year. I'm waiting until I get back from India, there's like cogs that are moving inside. I just want to make sure that what I'm doing is reflective of where I'm at on my spiritual journey, and I'm giving updated tools. Every coach school, every yoga training, every retreat is different with me because I'm always growing. So for most people, that's refreshing. And at the very least, it's from an inspired place. So, all right, that's it. Thank you so much for stopping by, and namaste.